There's a movie in the 50s called The Bad Seed, where the child, she's a female child who does horrible things even though she grows up in a very soft environment. I think we're going to amp that up today on with Titane.
There you go. Kyle and Nick on Film. This is going to be our patron selection for this month.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian Eggert. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Goethe from GoatFilmReviews.com.
I'm Nick from the St. Paul Filmcast, and once again, thanks for watching, thanks for finding us, and you can contact the show on Twitter and Instagram. Check out our Patreon for some great options to tell us what to do, like this episode. Today we're going to talk about from a relatively new movie for us, Titane, a Patreon select movie. What is Titane?
So, just to clarify, I'm going to read you the synopsis that is on the official log line because I don't know how better to say the film. So there's two synopses. Let's cover those together. So Titane, following a series of unexplained crimes, a father is reunited with the son who's been missing for 10 years. That's synopsis number one. Synopsis number two is actually just Titane, a metal highly resistant to heat and corrosion with high tensile strength alloys. So yeah, not really a great synopsis to give on there, but I also don't know how you can really define this film in 3 sentences.
No, because there's definitely a lot of transitions with this movie. This is the second film by Julia, what's her name? Ducournau. We'll go with that one. She definitely did Raw. I don't know, I haven't seen Raw. Is there a lot of lifted, same kind of style with the Raw? I know the Raw is about a vegan who tastes his meat for the first time. But
there's some visual aesthetics that I found to be this similar.
Right.
This aggressive filmmaking technique that is on use.
Well, it's the same cinematographer, right?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of the people that worked on Titane and Raw together. I believe it has the same editor. I believe it has the same musician. I think there's a lot of things. And of course, Ducournau. And then actress Garance Marillier, who played Justine, I believe. She was in Raw as well. She was the lead.
So a lot of it, you're dealing with a lot of what we do in psychology is nature versus nurture, but we're trying to explain that sometimes the nature of somebody, no matter what the events happens, is bound to happen. We're talking about damage and toxicity mixed together and make it really convincing and really interesting movie. I do like this. It's a very interesting movie. I do like this movie, but it goes areas where I don't want to, and that's probably why I like it. Oh, we're going to go to this way. What? Now this is a totally different movie. So there's a lot of multiple transitions through this movie, kind of like life almost.
Yeah, it's a movie about objectophilia. It's a movie about bad kids. It's a movie about a serial killer. It's a movie about a father and son reuniting.
It's about self-injections.
It's about pregnancy. It's about everything. And I kind of agree with you. I like the movie. I'm more positive than negative about it. My biggest problem with the film, as we'll break it down, is that this film is about a lot. And in being about a lot, it kind of ceases to be about any one thing well enough to entice me.
Right, it's like you go to all-you-eat food buffet, and you just fill up your plate, and you don't, like...
When you leave, can you remember any one thing you ate? Maybe the last thing you ate?
So there's a lot of things hard to digest with this, and obviously you have a person, and let's talk about the character, the protagonist. Is not much of a hero at all, but this is a person that we follow. Is severely damaged, but she's damaged by a car accident. And we don't know if that car accident now becomes affiliation of that she loves vehicles, or she always enjoyed vehicles, and she now appreciates the damage that she caused. So there's a lot of psychological avenues that you can take about this. Yeah. And she's a little more obsessive compulsive, like when she meets the woman in the shower and then they have a relationship where she's only just fixating on her nipple ring for something rather than the whole person. So there's a lot of damage here, a lot of toxicity, but it makes it for an enjoyable character. I despise the character.
Oh yeah. Not likable, interesting. Still works. But but yeah, you see as the opening of the film, and thank goodness they didn't continue with the opening. I really hate annoying kids in movies, and this kid was annoying in the movie. So first few minutes of the movie, I was like, thank God we're past that, because I really can't.
But they shot the beginning and I wrote in my notes, childlike point of view in the beginning, and I said, if they're going to convince me this is a good movie, it has to be from the point of view of a child, of just mimicking the car noise, but the adult is mad, and it catalyses to, it's a spark that it causes the car accident. But still, even though after surgery, it's a point of view of low angles looking at your dad, and the adult's looking down on her, and then she's now the center of the world. and the parents, oh my God, my child's saved, and she's just like almost forgiving to the vehicle of what happened to her.
It felt like a forced marriage, if you will, like an arranged marriage between her and metal.
Yes.
What she did was she caused it, by being bratty in the backseat of the car. Unbeknownst to her, she was forced and melded together with this metallic infrastructure in her body now that has led her down a path where she kind of feels more metal than human,
Right. And I put in my notes, I agree with every shot in this film and how they shot it, especially with the scenes like car, and the car at the distance, and you hold that scene. But there's a lot of instances of her navigating around traffic, and then you lose her, and then she comes back into the world. It's a great metaphor of the whole story, of you follow her, and then you lose her, and this is somebody interesting, but then you come back to her, and then she's very out there. There's a lot of pop of color, there's a lot of pop of gels and stuff like that I really enjoy.
Yeah, there was a lot of really interesting imagery early on in the film. Of course, we have the scene in the car, but then that portion where they're putting the metal plate in her head was very reminiscent of, this year's *Malignant*. It was reminiscent of Stephen King's *The Dark Half*.
Almost like the beginning of a killing of the sacred deer of open heart surgery. Like, whoa, okay.
It's like we're just gonna show you as far as we're gonna go in this film, so before you get in more than 5 minutes. Like, this is the movie you're in. So I guess to use a car metaphor, strap in. So we're ready for it.
Yeah. So I put in my notes: predator equals crave sympathy. Toxicity is sexy. Trash is beautiful. Damage is glorified. So, but I'm not saying that those advocates are things that you should go out and see, but this is a good content of a character that's a mixture, right? That just doesn't really know how to navigate successful life, and anybody around her is going to be in danger.
Yeah, she's kind of a quicksand patch. She pulls everyone else in,
Yeah.
Her damage affects the point with this, this intermingling with Vincent Lindon's character, played as Vincent. We get this kind of interpretation between the two of them, where there's like they're feeding off each other's damaged psyches.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's not healthy.
Yeah, and both of them are really predator to each other's prey, which is really kind of a confusing way, because she gets trapped in this firehouse, and it's kind of like, is she being taken advantage of here? But then you also see the father; she's taking advantage of him, and there's, and he's kind of, instead of being a slave to titanium, to metal, he is a slave to the drug, the steroid injections
Self-injection.
he's taking. So there's a lot of that kind of, we're slaves to the elements that brought us up, that made us who we are, but we're also choosing to embrace them as well.
Very good point. I like it. So it's a lot of obsessive compulsives. I'm going to talk about that, but also transitions. It goes like gender identity, because she's very convincing as a guy, but also it's awkward for her being a firefighter, because your whole job is saving lives, and it's awkward for her, like, okay, I have to do this now. Participate. Come on.
Very uncomfortable saving lives, especially when she uses fire as destruction earlier in the film, and now she has to defeat the fire. She has to, or not defeat. There's not as often that she's out in the fire, but it's kind of that interplay of now she's on the other side of things, being forced to accept it. It's very rare that you identify with a murderous psychopath, and I didn't identify with her, but I understood her, and I think that was kind of at play here as well. Was these characters that are, you can understand why they're doing what they're doing, even if you don't empathize it. She's very jokerish.
And I have contempt for everybody's characters, what they do. I don't do that way. Every character. Why are you doing? Please do it this way. Even the female that discovers that she really is a female. The character, she comes in, and Vincent's
the mother,
the mother, and she realizes, and rather than correcting the situation, she just says like, well, I'm going to cover it up for you.
Well, she kind of accepts that, like, you're in too deep now. Like, don't you hurt him. Like, that's kind of the thing where it's, I don't think she's trying so much to protect Alexia as much as she's trying to protect Vincent. And but she's trying to, like, hold that together.
Right, and you don't want to have that conversation, because you just want to, moving on.
And even Vincent doesn't want to have that conversation. Yeah. And I guess back when you said that Alexia is very convincing as a man, I found that to be true, but I didn't find it to be true that she was convincing as this man. I don't know that I would have bought that she was my long-lost son.
No,
I would have liked a scene or two with Vincent beforehand where we get that he's so desperate to find his son that he believes it, even though he kind of knows it's not true. I just didn't, because we're introduced to Vincent as he meets Alexia undercover, and I don't know if I bought that he was that convinced because we didn't get to see anything before that to make us realize how desperate he would be to find his lost child.
Something like Femme Fatale discovered, hiding the identity is something like that. A storyline that can almost lifted to inject in this movie, but you change genders and stuff like that.
Very true.
Stuff. But yeah, all the transitions, it's like, oh, you're going there. Why do we have to invest? Because it's a lot of not commit. You don't see this in the trailer. I thought the entire trailer would just be a gloss over of damaged toxicity and just, almost like Fast and Furious meets, female serial killer. I thought that was going to be the entire movie. And it's not. It's a little more in-depth, a little more overfilling of content than I thought.
Yeah, there's moments at the beginning, specifically that long shot at the car show, where I was like, oh, it's Fast and Furious, but damaged people.
Yeah.
But then it quickly morphs into almost like a big love letter to Cronenbergian horror, and specifically even his film Crash, which a lot of comparisons have been made between the objectophilia about Crash's car use sexually. And it's a shocking opening.
Right. No, you're right. It is, especially when now she's an adult and you know who she is based on the signature wound that she has. So I say it's very clever writing, and of course it's good writing, not just clever writing. It's good writing because you're going places that you don't want to go, but the character wants to go.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour long, like when you're watching a horror movie and the blonde goes upstairs instead of out the door. It's 2 hours of that. Where you're like, don't do that. No, please. It's
Every
like uncut gems, amount of uncomfortability, where you're just kind of like, please do the right thing. You're not doing it yet, and I'd like.
And nobody does the right thing in this.
Yeah,
and that kind of is a parlay to life in general. I think this actually has the right pacing of how life is. It can be fast, speedy, and glamour and fun, but it also can be damaging. It also can be awful. And nobody making the right decisions to, you want to stop the film and like, all right, people, come on. We've gone too far, and you're enabling a serial killer here.
Yeah, well, and I brought up Uncut Gems, and I want to make the contrast here as well, that in Uncut Gems, the characters know what the right thing to do and what the wrong thing to do is, and they make the wrong choice.
But that's like
in this film, I feel like they don't understand what's right and what's wrong, but they're consistently making the wrong choice. They don't see the right choice in front of them.
They don't understand, but they don't care as well.
Yeah, they're taking the easiest possible, I guess what they believe to be the easiest possible choice, the one that hurts them the least, the one that puts them in the least danger. And that's why, like when she escapes the house because she's so terrified of what he might do to her, and then she comes back and realizes that maybe being out and about is not as safe as being in this house.
Yes.
And she sees that he's tried to commit suicide. And she sees that he needs her as much as she needs him. So there's this toxic relationship that just kind of evolves out of that. And it's again, like, I hated it because I watched it and I was like, please just make the right call.
You also have this birthing from a car.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten to that, have we?
Which is another component to this movie. You're like, a car? Okay. But for the story, it makes sense. Because I don't think she really loves anybody. I don't think she really loves herself, but she loves inanimate objects. And that goes with like the piercing, the metal, anything metallic she has an attachment to. It's her signature weapon for murdering people. It's what she used to, inject herself to other people as well, but also to invite injection to herself is metal, and then she's going to give birth to it.
Well, and the only time I see her embrace anyone early on in the film is that nude man inside the house that she's about to stab. There's the naked man, and she goes up and she just says, I'm very tired. I'm very, very stressed and frustrated. And maybe the only reason she's able to embrace him is because she's about to take his life. I don't know. But we don't see her embrace anyone else for a bulk of the first half of the movie.
I don't know if this has any retaining quality to this movie. I don't know if anybody be interested to talk about it in the next 5 years. It's definitely worth a rewatch because there's so much content they're trying to cover. My criticism Possessor is they don't go where I want them. The danger, they keep it safe with the story. Here, it's complete opposite. It's not going to keep safe. They're going to go.
Yeah.
Even though the pacing can slow it down and speed up as well.
Yeah, very well shot movie. Like I said, it's about so many things that I couldn't really latch on to any one thing that kept me enthralled in the film.
Yeah.
It was more just like where are they going to go from here? So I'm positive on the film
I am
very
too.
softly positive. I much preferred Ducournau's previous film, Raw. It was about something. It really had it had a central performance that
Had
was a
strong
character
contrast.
a character that I really understood, even though I didn't empathize with the main character in Raw. I understood the main character in Raw. And I felt like it was maybe a safer, I hate to say a movie about cannibalism is safer than Titane, but it does feel like it's got a through line that I could follow more. Whereas this film, again, it's about just so many things. And it's one that, most people I've talked to about it have said, that understanding is not part of it. And I'm like, but understanding it is kind of part of it. And you're getting lost amidst so many elements.
And it's about making the wrong decisions, but you don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to go and not really think about the consequences of just to go. And definitely the movie about daddy issues as well. That's something we haven't really encountered because she doesn't really have a good relationship with her father, almost like...
And even with the other father.
Even with the other father, and her mother's completely out of the picture. But she doesn't have a good relationship with anybody involved, including the vehicles in her life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. The film won Palme d'Or this year at Cannes. Spike Lee unfortunately made a slip up and announced the film as the winner before he was supposed to, so it's kind of like involved in that. Ducournau was the second.
Well, he didn't do the right thing even announcing the movie.
There you go.
Almost doing the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Ducournau is only the second director to win the Palme d'Or. After
Female
Jane Campion. Second female director, that's what I meant. And the film, received a 9-minute standing ovation. I think we're going to be hearing about Titane in the next couple months. France officially made it their submission for Best International Feature Film, so I have every confidence we will see this film as an Oscar nominee. I don't know if we'll see it win, but I do see it being in that discussion. I think we're going to be hearing about this film for the next couple of months, and I'm curious to hear more takes, because it's a film that I don't know a ton of people in my circle that have watched the film. But I'm curious to see, as more people watch it, what those takes are.
But I would say she probably might. It's a good legitimate candidacy for her playing Alexei, being Best Actress.
Okay.
When you go naked and pregnant and do an exterior shot of that, and you're gonna have a meltdown. The Oscar's kind of like you taking risks like that.
I think makeup and hair for that too. I don't think there's a chance it'll get nominated for it, but I do think that it had great makeup and hair because of the transformations of the different characters involved.
But it's a little more out there for the Oscars. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those movies that kind of test the strength of the Oscars don't I think they want to give it something. And I think we'll see a nomination for International Feature Film because it's the easy out. Just politically speaking, I do think that's...
There was a lot of challenges for cinematography that I wouldn't be surprised because there's a lot of dark and a lot of light and a lot of angles and everything. So, and I agree with every shot in the movie. There's the right shot for everything in the movie. And that's tough to do.
Yeah, especially for a film that's so crude and angry and vicious. It's a movie that kind of asks you not to like it. And so for having the cinematography that did have, it was gorgeously shot for all the non-gorgeous stuff that was on display.
Right. It's a gorgeous movie for things that are not gorgeous. And like I said, it's about toxicity looking damaged and toxicity looking sexy.
Yeah, maybe metal poisoning, you might say.
Right.
There we go.
So, have you seen
Titane?
Titane.
Let us know your thoughts.
I would guarantee you, if you've seen it, you remember you've seen it.
If you see it, you probably have thoughts about it too, and we want to know those thoughts down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on the film. Yeah. It's going to be a polarizing movie. I think actually we're going to probably be two of the few people that are in the middle a little bit more, because I would assume a lot of people are going to love this movie, and a lot of people are going to absolutely hate this movie.
If I had a large pool of movies I've seen, I don't know if I would put it in my top 10. I'd probably be a top 20, just because it's taking risks.
Yeah, it's a challenging movie, and I think
I love taking risks.
I always say ambition is a win for me, even if the film's execution doesn't meet the ambition. In some cases, the ambition does win for me. So, hey, give us a like while you're checking out that comment section. Give us a subscribe while you're checking out that comment section, and while you're down there too, take a risk and check out the Patreon. You don't have to do any car stuff. But check out the Patreon down below as well.
Yeah.
We have tiers for as low as $1, and if you go to $5 or more, you can actually join in our rotation of Patreon selections, like the one that we picked this month. And as well, we're going to do something special for the rest of 2021. If you join at any tier, you're going to get one patron selection in season 4. If you join at any tier at all, we will cover one film from you.
Sign up now because it's coming up pretty soon.
Exactly. So for the rest of the year, we're going to be doing something special for that. So please take the opportunity to check out the different tiers on patreon.com/KyleNickOnFilm. The link's down in the description, as are many of our social medias. And you can find all my film reviews at goatfilmreviews.com.
You can find my podcast, the St. Paul Filmcast, anywhere you find podcasts.
Thank you for joining us, and
I'm going to drive safely home.
yeah, wear a seatbelt, folks.